You can't be passive and indifferent. You have to have a holy determination. It's more than just your will.
However, when you get into a new comfort zone, it will be easier for you to practice the habit of self-discipline than it would be in the past for you to take the shortcut.
Sometimes the obstacles in front of you seem like they're too big and it's easier just to lay down. But you know what I remembered? I remember when my dad used to look at me when the kid said, listen, Nathan, life is never going to give you anything, but if you make it and if you build it, nobody can take it from you.
What we're doing and we enjoy. What we're doing and passion energizes. That's a person of passion, I always think. I realized that I believe God spoke the word about being even more careful than ever about complaining. I don't consider myself to be a big complainer. Now I used to be that God just kept chipping away at it and chipping away at it and chipping away at it, and every time I started to get maybe a little bit loose and murmuring a little bit more.
It's a fire on the inside, a knowing that it's supposed to be yours. When everything says it's not going to happen, instead of getting discouraged, you kick in to a new gear. Normal people would give up. Normal people would settle, but you're not normal. You want it on another level. Many of the difficulties we face, the delays, the times it's not fair, that's simply a test. God is seeing how bad do you want it. This is what weeds people out. If you're overcome by problems, you let circumstances push you down, people talk you out of it, you're not going to have the strength or the courage to sustain where God is taking you.
Goethe, the German philosopher, once said that everything is hard before it's easy. Everything is hard before it's easy. So developing the habit of self-discipline is hard. And be patient with yourself, because you slip back all the time. All your life, you'll be slipping back. All your life, you have to fight this battle. You never get it to the point where it's locked in forever. Every morning you get up and that alarm goes off and you say, do I sleep a little longer or do I get up? You know, every time you look at a list of things to do, you say, do I start with the most important thing? As they say, do the worst first. Or do I do something that's fun and talk to a friend or make a phone call? You've got to fight this battle every single day. But every time you fight and win, you feel better about yourself.
You have to be like David. Don't have a weak mentality, have a warrior mentality. You have to be more determined than the opposition. If you give up every time things don't go your way, you didn't want it bad enough. You have to dig your heels in and say, I am in this for the long haul. I know what God has spoken to me. I will get well. I will accomplish my dream. I will meet the right person. You're not moved by what's not working out, by how long it's taking, or by who's not for you. You know who is for you.
And we can choose to surrender, or we can choose to take a stand and fight. And there are a lot of people who fight who are still here. There are people who fight and who go. But at least they go out fighting. They didn't just surrender. They didn't just throw in the towel on themselves. And I'm saying that there is something in us.
It only takes about 21 days, they say, to develop a new habit. So you can lock in the foundation of the habit simply by practicing self-discipline every single day without exception for 21 days. Now, some years ago, a businessman named Herbert Gray did a long-time study. It was kind of his project to find out what he called the common denominator of success. What would be the common denominator of success? And he spent 11 years studying the literature, interviewing people, reflecting on it, and he finally wrote a little pamphlet. And the pamphlet has been handed around for years and years, and you don't need to get it because I'll tell you what's in it. He said the common denominator of success was quite simple. He said, successful people, he found, make a habit of doing what unsuccessful people don't like to do. And of course the logical question is, well, what is it that unsuccessful people don't like to do? Well, it turned out to be the same thing that successful people don't like to do either, but they do it anyway because they recognize that that's the price of success.
The times are tough for all of us, but we got to keep pushing forward. We must continue to fight the good fight. Do not feel that it's over. You've got a lot more work to do. Leave all of the distractions alone. Leave the naysayers alone. Because no matter how you look at it, those people that you feel that are against you, use it to your advantage. Let it be your fire. Let the ammunition you need to show them all that you've got something that they have never seen before.
Because hard work and tenacity and refusing to quit and chasing your dream, you'll get there, I promise you. Maybe you don't hit the stars, but you'll land on the moon. You don't give up and you go after it and you stop caring about the opinions of people around you. Stop blaming everybody for your hurts. Take ownership of your life. Take off your mask. Don't feed the bear. Make good choices. Be a best friend. Encourage somebody. Be a voice of hope and inspiration. This is your moment.
Always remember this. Your past never has to be bigger than your future. Maybe we made some mistakes. Maybe, we did some things that we're not proud of. But the great thing is that people can change.
Like before high school and in high school, to be in Ivy League schools and to get 4.0, they're not having any fun and they're not experiencing life and they don't have any hope and their parents are all on pills and they're just killing themselves. For some people out there that aren't feeling good, you get over that struggle, you feel better. It sounds so simplistic, but I swear by it. I've felt shitty myself and then forced myself to work out. And after I get out of there, I'm like, it's hard for people to break momentum too. Momentum that's good momentum or momentum that's bad momentum. When I get on a good groove of working out all the time, I feel it. Like after I'm done working out, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to get in there again. I can't wait to work out again. That's the good momentum. But then there's that bad momentum, like you get injured or something like that and you can't do anything for a couple of weeks. And then to try to get that kickstart that motor up again.
You may fall a few times, you may slip a few times, but that doesn't mean you quit. That doesn't mean you give up. That means you must find a way, and you must make a win. You got to continue to dig deeper than you've ever did in your life. Enough is enough. Enough with the excuses, enough for being complacent, enough for giving up. This is the time to recognize your purpose. This is the time for you to recognize your truth and make the most of your life. And if you're not willing to do that, then nothing's going to happen for you. Nothing is going to give you that true opportunity to be the best of yourself. This is not a game, ladies and gentlemen. This is a reality check. Ask yourself, how far have you gone? How much have you given up yourself? Why do you wake up every morning with the same excuse? Why do you wake up every morning saying the same thing over and over again? Why do you feel you need that cup of coffee to start your day? Why do you feel you need to depend on your alarm clock to get up? All you got to do is just get up. All you got to do is recognize exactly what it is that you need to do in your life now. This is the time you need to make up. This is the time you need to realize this. It's the time you need to do the best that you can and give 110% of everything you got. How many hours do you put into your craft? How much work are you putting into your ideas? How many times have you taken so many breaks that it pushed you back instead of pushing you forward? How much suffering have you put into your craft? How much suffering are you willing to endure for success?
It's hard to get momentum. There's a lot of people that are eating shit food, and then by the end of the day, your body's in a crisis. Your body's just processing all this bullshit. And if you're eating a big, bullshit lunch filled with nonsense, your body's got to process all that stuff. And so at the end of the day, yeah, you're going to lose your willpower. So when 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock rolls around, you're going to be tired. But if you have a healthy lunch and you're properly fueled, and then you also have positive people in your life, everyone's motivated, by the end of the day you're going to feel good. Just force yourself to do it. And if you feel like shit because you ate lunch, then your lunch was filled with bullshit, well then, hey dummy, don't eat shitty lunch tomorrow. Tomorrow try a nice salad. Try a salad with some salmon and see how you feel then. You're like, hey, I feel way better today at 6 o'clock. Duh. Now your decision making will be better. People don't understand how significant it is. All these little decisions, that's the path for the rest of your existence on earth.
If you had a goal you chased, that goal you accomplished, some things you would get. This boost of confidence, you get this boost of self-esteem, whatever it is that you're going to, maybe you're drawing comic books, maybe you're into it. But making pottery or sculptures, but find whatever that is and pursue that. Nothing can resist a human will that will stake its existence on its purpose. Shortly put, I'll do it or die.
How many times have you said that you were going to leave something or someone, and you always followed the same path? How many times have you said the same thing, and countless times done the opposite? That is exactly what you have to stop doing. But clearly, you know what you should change, but you don't want to. Leave behind what hurts you and move on. That involves toxic partners, harmful habits, people or friends who hurt you, among many others. In fact, there are parts of yourself that are harmful to you. What kind of things? Those that you still keep and do not leave behind. A poor diet, unnecessary anger and resentment, jealousy towards other people, a lot of anger. If you stopped seeing the problems of others, maybe you would realize your own shortcomings. Implement big changes in your life, which involve only you, no one else. You will see great changes when you govern yourself and control what happens in your own life. Do not be that type of person who lets himself be controlled by the environment. You have to be the person who takes control of his life and follows his dreams and aspirations. No one can and has the right to control or manipulate you in any way, not even the person you love. If the opposite happens, remember, let go and move on. Life is too short to be suffering and crying for someone who doesn't respect you, for someone who makes you suffer sometimes for no specific reason, who sometimes only does it to make you suffer. I ask you something, are those moments really worth it? Are you really willing to waste a considerable portion of your time and your mental health in suffering? And let's say you don't suffer for something real. You suffer because someone wants to provoke those feelings, which makes it a real waste of time. Don't let that happen at any point. Do not forget to focus on your own well-being. Play sports and keep your mental stability safe, because despite what society thinks, it is tremendously important, since it is the engine of your life, your way of thinking, and what you will do to make the smartest decisions. If your physical, mental, and sentimental stability are weak, make all the efforts in the world to reverse them, and keep that triangle stabilized. I assure you that your life will be great when you solve these problems. Imagine a situation. A person gives you little hints, a weak hint every day. You clearly don't feel any pain, and to some extent it doesn't even bother you. Now, imagine that a person gives you those blows every day, one blow a day. I assure you that there will come a time when you will get fed up and you will say enough. That's why you don't have to let that day pass. That small problems go on for years until you gather courage and leave everything behind. Learn to leave things in due time. And if you don't want to, at least set clear limits and let the other person know that you don't like them doing that to you. If it happens that he continues to do so, I should not tell you what to do, because you already know the answer. Remember, let go and move on. Sit down for a moment and think about what you should do, what bothers you, and what makes you feel bad, and organize a strategy to improve your life, and leave everything behind that makes you feel bad, including people and bad habits. Value yourself, because no one else will do it for you.
How many of you have somebody come up and say, boy, your kid's really growing? You go, really? Because you're so close to them, you don't notice it as much. How many found that to be true? Guess what? It's even worse with yourself. Sometimes we don't give ourselves credit for the amount that we're growing, but I'll tell you one thing, if you keep a journal, it won't be hard to see how much you're growing. Because you'll see the kind of goals you had back then, the kind of things you thought back in those days. And you'll begin to see the evolution of your growth. Also, I personally believe that if life's worth living, it's worth recording. And it's an incredible gift to give to your children, because someday they get to know exactly how you were at different times in your life, and they get to learn your lessons without having to go through it. So I highly encourage you to do that, but as a very minimum, let's make sure we take notes. You guys ready to crank? Yeah. Crank, let's do it. So this whole weekend is about connecting and communication. Really, it's about communication and relationship, how to make everything more worthwhile. And the technology that we're going to share with you this weekend has a unique name. We call it reality bridging. Reality bridging. I'm going to make you go into a deep trance trying to figure out what that means, right? We're going to clarify it for you. But reality bridging, it's the technology of vital communication and true freedom. Because what you're going to find is, you're going to find there's going to be a vitality in your communication when you start using the techniques we're going to teach you. And there's going to be a sense of absolute freedom where you can share with somebody what your real feelings are and never ever offend them. They won't have to hear you and cry and feel bad, and you won't feel so bad either. We want to make sure that communication is vital, that you're always connecting, that you feel good when you're communicating, so does the person you're communicating with, and it produces results. That's our outcome. And to be able to do that without having to worry creates an unbelievable level of freedom for people. Because how many of you, be honest, have felt feelings at times and you were upset, but you didn't share it because you didn't know how, or you didn't share it because, well, you thought, well, maybe it's really about me, or you didn't share it because you didn't want to offend somebody even though you were mad or upset. How many have had that experience in the past? And when you don't share something, what happens when you just keep it inside and build it up? Yeah, it festers. Does it get better or worse? It gets a lot worse, and eventually what happens, then you blow up about something that could have been handled so much easier along the way. But then there's the other approach, which is you're looking for things on a regular basis to be able to give people feedback about. And some people develop that habit, or you communicate in a way where basically you're communicating your feelings, like you're upset, but do you always have all the information? No. And so you're making a decision about how to feel based on false information. How many of you have ever gotten upset and later on felt a little dumb because you found out you were upset about something really shouldn't have been upset about? So one philosophy says, keep it inside. The other philosophy says, well, get it out. Well, what if you get it out and then you find out you were wrong? By the way, do we like being wrong? No. So then what would we probably do? Justify, defend? Well, yeah, I didn't know that, but if you've done that before, and that does not make a relationship work. Plus, that person gets upset. It's kind of like, anybody ever come up to you and say, why are you upset? And you go, I'm not upset. I go, yeah, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Well, I'm getting upset. Okay, that also happens unless we're really clear. So what we're really going to do is we're going to start our whole basis of studying of communication to remember one thing, and write this in your notes if you would. And that is, the quality of your life is directly related to the quality of your communication. The quality of your life is the quality of your communication, period. Quality of your life is the quality of your communication. Now, pretty basic idea, nothing earth-shattering, but I'm here to tell you that's your entire life comes down to this. The quality of your entire life comes down to the quality of how you communicate. With whom? No. With whom first do you think it determines how you... That's right. The quality of your life starts with the quality of how you communicate to yourself. That's where it all starts. How you feel is not based on the environment. Is it based, like how you feel? Is that determined based on, like, whether or not you have lots of money? Yes or no? I get a little mixed reaction on that. They go, well, no, it's not. No, absolutely not. No. How's that for incongruent communication from a lot of you, right? Okay, some of you have little mixed feelings about this, don't you? Let me ask you a question. How many of you know somebody who has tons of money and is still not happy?
I mean, look, the fears and doubts are a part of it. Can I be honest with you? Everything I've ever done started with a fear. My walking out on stage, that starts with the fear. When Oprah came and got me for this life class, I told her, I said, boy, this is like a stand-up appearance for me. I'm back there sweating. I don't want to talk to nobody. I have to overcome fear all the time. When I wrote my book, I was afraid. When they told me we wanted you to be a game show host, I'd never done that. I was afraid. When they said, we want you to do a talk show, I was afraid. I have to overcome fear all the time. But the best way for me to overcome fear is the dream has to be bigger than the fear. That's the only way you turn around and run at it. I just want so great. I aim for stuff so big that the dream bigger than the fear. Look at it like this. If you don't ever go, would it be better for you to face the fear, deal with the fact that you just never
face it? Definitely.
See, that's what the dream. And I saw you with your tie on. I know that makeup mirror, that's backstage somewhere in a dressing. Somebody's hiring guys like, there's no such thing as too old. I'm 57. If I went back out there, I'd get hired tomorrow as a stand. If you're funny, there's a marketplace for you. Now, look, you got to
start where you are, right?
Just
start where you are.
You don't worry, man. Where you at? Now, don't stop paying the house note and stuff.
Okay, so let's go through it. You have to know your gift. Do you think you're gifted at this?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Okay. And then you have to be clear about your vision.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then surround yourself with other dreamers. Let's talk about that.
You know, if you don't surround yourself with others, here's what I know. If 9 of your are broke, you're going to be the 10th. That's it. If 7 of your friends smoke, you're going to be number 8. If you stay with that circle, you've got to surround yourself with like-minded people. See, stop telling your big dreams to small-minded people. Take yourself. Look, you're talking to me. You're 52, I'm 57. I'm a stand-up comedian, been one for 30 years. It's a natural thing for me. I would talk to people who are in the biz, talk to people who are doing it. Don't let your age define you.
Your current skill set has already taken you as far as it's going to take you. If you don't put yourself on a path to learn and very aggressively, where you are now is where you'll be in 5 years. The key is crossing that chasm of skill set.
We're all afraid of not reaching our potential, of never becoming the person we know we were meant to be. We fear being left behind at our job. We fear never being worthy of love. We fear being stupid or emotionally weak. We fear not having enough followers and friends. We fear waking up one morning and realizing our best is already behind us. Or worse, our best was never very good to begin with.
Remember, you're an adaptation machine. Your job is to place yourself under stress and then force yourself to grow. So back to Mr. Yoked, you don't get those muscles by looking at the weights. You get those muscles by going under the weight and not stopping when it hurts. You stop when you can no longer recruit the muscles enough to move the weight. That's when you're done. Your job is to push yourself to the limit of what you think you're capable of and then go past that. And when you're able to push yourself past that, when you're able to get into the Goggins reps, as I call it, when you're able to exist in that zone, long past where it started hurting, long past when it got boring, long past when you were terrified that you'd never be able to do it, that's when you'll begin to adapt, because you're telling your body, adapt or die. That's how you're going to get where you want to go.
Nobody wins the Nobel Peace Prize or writes a bestseller or even lifts a barbell at the gym without feeling hopelessly incapable at some point. The reason they feel incapable? Because they are. The skills that they've developed do not yet match up with the skills they need to be successful. What separates these people that achieve these seemingly impossible goals is that they do not see their incapabilities as obstacles. They see them as opportunities.
Wash your face. Wash your face is a significant issue because it means literally, don't let your past affect your present. Wash your face means wash everything off you that you collected along your journey and prepare yourself for where you're going. Wash your past off of you so that it doesn't pollute your present. You'd be surprised at the people who have ruined where they are with where they came from.
See, the problem with some of y'all, you can never reach forward because you're too busy looking at the past. You're still trying to figure out who did what they did, how they did it, when they said it, why did this happen to you. You got to forget about it. It's over. Ain't nothing you can do about it. It's history. You can't change the past. You can't do anything about yesterday. The only thing you can do something about is tomorrow, and you need to be spending the day doing something about what's going to make tomorrow different.
You can sit across the table and interview them, and when you start interviewing them, they start talking about what they went through and what they went through on the last job. They just wasn't ready for me, and they just didn't understand my gifting, and the person of my caliber. And after a while, you can see bitterness. And the whole problem is, regardless of whether they went through a bad experience or not, they've never washed their face. And you're not ready for what God is about to give you now because you're still polluted with what you went through then. You'd be surprised at the people who are married to 2 or 3 people, not legally, but mentally and emotionally. You're with Fred, but you're still angry about Jimmy. And you got an attitude about Willie, and now you're with Fred, treating him like he might be Willie. And just in case you haven't, Jimmy used to do that, and you're ruining your present because your past is still active in your life. The old woman taught the young girl, before you go any further, wash your face. I shouldn't be able to look at you and see your past on your face. Wash it off you. You can't go forward until you wash the past off you.
Forgetting those things which are behind.
I don't care how long it takes, if it takes laying on the altar, if it takes 6 months, if it takes 6 years, you cannot go forward until you wash your face. You're not ready for Boaz until you wash your face. You got too much stuff on you from yesterday. You must wash your face.
Somebody say reaching forward. That word reach means to stretch for the future. It's a stretching.
Clinging issues from the past residue that we can readily detect. It is possible to be delivered from something and still not wash the effects of it out of your lifestyle. I don't care what you got to do to wash your face until people can no longer look at you and determine what you were before. You'd be surprised at the people who can't figure out why their life is being polluted. They've actually been delivered. They've actually gone on in their life, but they fail to wash from their face where they came from, and they look like where they were, and so they're still penalized as if they were where they were. Even though they've come up higher, they didn't wash their face. You got to wash your past off of you, or you will forfeit your opportunity to go forward. And you'll be angry at people and upset at people, but people wouldn't be talking about you if you would just wash your face. You can't go to the bed of Boaz looking like a Moabite.
So your big problem is you want to stay in the level of comfort. And God's word is to tell you today, he's going to put you in situations and environment that you're not going to be comfortable. Somebody tell your neighbor, I might not be comfortable now, but I can get comfortable. I might not have been down this road before, but I can come down here enough times to where I know where the turns are and what to do and how to make it. But you gotta look ahead. Somebody say, look ahead. Say it one more time, look ahead.
Isn't it amazing how God's will and purpose will take you to places that if you're not prepared for, you will keep losing them and not know why? Because nobody has the nerve to look you in the eye and tell you face to face, you need to wash your face. Education doesn't fix this. You can go to the university and have more degrees than a thermometer and still talk like a hook. You had the academics, you had the intellect, you had the ability, you had the school loan, you had the tenacity, you did everything. You got the degree. You're in the upper echelon. You're moving amongst certain people of influence and affluence, but you're not able to handle it because you never washed your face. You might as well be in the back of a trailer over in the project somewhere, spitting watermelon seeds over your grandmama's back porch, because for all of your training and education, you never did wash your face and prepare yourself for where you are now, and you're trying to change the whole system to fit you when you have to fit the situation. Everything's not going to change for you. You've got to, oh God, who am I talking to today?
What am I trying to tell you? I'm trying to tell you, if you stretch and reach for what you want to do, if you reach out for it, and if you have a mentality to press for it, you can get whatever it is you want to do.
Because if you don't start changing your attitude, you will miss your altitude. God will want to take you up, but your attitude will keep pulling you back down. Oh, you're not ready for this. How many times have you been approached by a sales clerk who couldn't sell you anything because they had a bad attitude? Somebody else walked up to you and sold it to you, and you bought it with the quickness because they knew how to approach you. Don't think that it's all about the product. It's about the personality too. If you got a personality, God will bless you.
Somebody say you got to forget some things. And sometimes it means you got to forget some people.
A person who can forgive nothing is a person who's totally destroyed psychologically and emotionally.
Yes, that's the story of two monks on a pilgrimage, and they come across, in a village, they come across a young 17-year-old girl with a long kimono trying to cross a very muddy road, but she's not daring to step into the mud. So one monk picks her up, carries her across the road through the mud, puts her down, and so the monks walk on in silence for another 4 or 5 hours, just practicing noble silence. And then after 4 or 5 hours, they're getting close to their destination. One monk says to the monk who had picked up the girl, oh, you know, you shouldn't have done that because we monks are not supposed even to touch women. So you shouldn't have picked up that girl. You're not supposed to do that. So the other monk says, oh, are you still carrying that girl? I put her down hours ago. So the other monk was still carrying the girl, the event, in his head.
4 hours later.
And for 4 hours, he was walking with this burden.
Yes, right.
And that shows the reluctance of the human mind to let go of the past.
Forgive any relationship that you ever had that didn't work out. Now this is hard because it's so personal and it's so painful. If you then forgive every previous relationship, you accept that you were at least partially responsible for getting into the relationship. You were definitely responsible for staying in the relationship. You just say, I am responsible, I am responsible, I am responsible. I bless them and let them go. And just let it go. Because in letting them go, you set yourself free. By not letting them go, you're keeping yourself in prison, in an emotional prison.
Forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past could be any different. I think for myself, and I know many of you, you think forgiving means accepting what has happened to you. Well, it is accepting that it has happened to you. Not accepting that it was okay for it to happen. It is accepting that it has happened, and now what do I do about it? Forgiving is giving up the hope, not holding on, hoping, wishing that it could have been any other way than it actually was. Giving up the hope that the past could be any different. And when I got that, I think it took me to the next level of being a better person, because I don't hold grudges for anything or any situation, and neither should you. It's letting go so that the past does not hold you prisoner, does not hold you hostage.
Life is meant to be experienced. You'll have good experiences as well as bad ones. One day you'll be achieving so much, and the next day you might be depressed. You'll have good people in your life, and at the same time, you'll meet toxic people in your life. Many times, we end up falling in love with those toxic people. I'm sure you have also experienced this situation in your life. You loved that person truly. You did so many things for them, and yet they left you for no apparent reason. I know you are depressed and feel like giving up, but trust me, if you aren't willing to move on and let them go, you're making a huge mistake. You need to start focusing on your future instead of crying over your past mistakes. Maybe the person you love deeply left you or might have cheated on you. There could be any reason, and you want that person to still stay in your life. Trust me, you're doing it all wrong. You need to let them go. There is no comforting way to say that. These are just 3 simple words. Let them go. If you have already done everything you could do and said everything you could say, and that person still wants to go, here's the single most important thing you can do now to improve your life. Let them go. You have taken care of them and supported them in their difficult times, sacrificed your own happiness for them, fought with other people for them. If that person still doesn't want to stay in your life, you need to understand that you cannot force them to stay. Just let them go. All those sleepless nights and stressful days will be forgotten once you move on. You will start doing wonders and will be proud of yourself one day for letting that person go. Think about it. Does a person deserve your attention if they didn't realize your importance? Should you keep crying for a person who has moved on and is living a happy life? Should you beg that same person who hurt you? No. You need to forget that person and start moving on with your life. Go out and take a holiday. Spend a night out with yourself. Spend some time with your parents and children. You'll realize there are so many people around you who deserve your attention, your love, and your care. Crying for that person who left you is draining you of your mental strength. It is keeping you from achieving success. It is making you forget your own self-worth. I know it can be hard to move on if you've known a person for a long time, if you've spent some of your best moments of your life with them, if you've felt loved by that person once in your life. It is okay to cry, but don't keep crying for them for the rest of your life. Do not destroy your mental peace for just one person. You have no idea how amazing and beautiful you are. You are ruining everything for just one person. Ask yourself, are you doing the right thing? Is that person worth your tears? I know you have become weaker. It is extremely difficult for you to move on, but you probably don't have an idea of how strong and powerful you are. Think of all those things you have achieved in your life. If you keep worrying and crying and stressing over that person, how can you start focusing on your life? Let them go. Forgive them. But most importantly, forgive yourself. Don't hurt yourself for someone else. You really want to see the light, right? But you aren't letting go of the darkness of your past decisions. If you don't let them go, they will keep ruining your life until you reach a point where you won't be able to do anything. You need to make a decision today. Decide to free yourself from that heavy weight. Decide to forgive yourself. Decide to be happy and inspire others. And decide to enjoy your life to the fullest. Trust me, you are really strong enough to do all of that. The amazing people you see in your life who are living a happy life are not lucky. Those are the ones who decided not to let one person, one situation, and one bad decision ruin their entire life. They decided to be strong and move on quickly. They decided to eliminate negativity from their life and decided not to seek sympathy from anyone. They decided to focus on what good is going on in their life, and that is exactly what you need to do right now. Let me tell you one thing. Everything cannot be perfect in your life at one time. You will have to be happy with the little things you've got in your life. You will have to let go. You will have to move on. You need to understand that everything happens for a reason. And I strongly believe that the bad times come to teach us some of the most important lessons of our lives. Think of all those bad things that have happened in your life, and you'll realize that those circumstances made you a better person. You learned some of the most important things due to those situations. Ever wonder why letting go of someone is so hard? Well, that holding on is natural. Humans tend to hold on due to the fact that it fulfills their need for certainty. Letting go of someone you have loved entails uncertainty. Even if your relationship was toxic, it still had some certainty that was giving you comfort. But the thing is, you need to understand that holding on harms you. It stops you from reaching your goals, and not knowing how to move on prevents you from reaching your true potential. Learn when it is time to move on. You need to identify those limiting beliefs. You need to change the way you tell that story to yourself. Don't tell yourself that your past relationship was unsuccessful because of you. It didn't end because of you. And please stop the blame game. Yes, I know that it is completely natural to point a finger at someone else or a situation for your current hardships in your life, but it is not necessary to blame anyone. Your partner might have been wrong, or you might have been wrong, or the situation wasn't right for both of you. But the thing is, it won't benefit you if you keep thinking of those things. Simply let them go and move on with your life. You have a long journey ahead, which will be ruined if you don't start controlling your emotions. Once you become a master at controlling your emotions, you will be able to unlock the life you truly deserve. In the end, I would say that tomorrow is another day to conquer this world, and you can do miracles. Go out and conquer this world. Let them realize what they have lost. It's their loss, not yours. There are people who come into your life sometimes to be there for a season. They weren't meant to be there always. Sometimes we find ourselves hooked up with people that we think are there for a lifetime, but they're only supposed to be there for a season. There are people who come into your life like boosters for a rocket. If you ever watched a rocket go into space, the boosters fall off when it reaches a certain altitude. Some people are not equipped to handle the altitudes that you're going to, so don't be upset and cry when they fall off. Actually, they're not bad people, they just couldn't go the altitude that you're going. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. If they're already showing you their true colors, believe them and let them go. And don't try to convince yourself that maybe someday they will change. Some people never change. They just become more of who they already are. Maybe the person you love deeply left you, or might have cheated on you. There could be any reason, and you want that person to still stay in your life. Trust me, you're doing it all wrong. You need to let them go, especially if you've already done anything you could do and said anything you could say, and that person still wants to go. Here's the single most important thing you can do now to improve your life. Let them go. Do you know what's bringing you down when you're trying to get up? It's the burden of your past. The burden of those people who have just made your life miserable, but you're still ready to let them go. Sometimes people don't hear you, no matter how loud, truthful, and deep you speak. If you're facing this situation, then let them go and realize that these people are your past. So let them be in the past. They're not part of your destiny or your future. When you don't leave the person and walk away, it means that you're giving all the power away and showing others that your whole life is dependent on someone who's happy without you. Do you know that some people waste half of their lives or even more to convince others to love them? Some people, on the other hand, try to take revenge. Let me tell you what's even better. It's when you don't take any revenge and forget everything. It is actually moving on with your life. It's showing them that life is much better after they're gone. Life is meant to be experienced. Sometimes you get a good experience, and sometimes you get a bad one. At the same time, you are also surrounded by the good people and the toxic ones. It happens many times in our lives that we end up falling in love with those toxic people and doing everything for them, but they still leave us without even thinking about us and thinking about how hard it will be for us to live our lives without them. I know that you're going through the same situation and you're feeling so lonely, depressed, and thinking that you have nothing left that can make you happy. You know hard times come in everybody's life. Take the example of a tree in the autumn season. The leaves fall from it, but it's not the end of its life. It's actually the beginning of a new life. You don't have to worry about those people that God has removed from your life, because He can see those things which you didn't. He heard the discussion that you didn't. So why are you worried? If a person has walked away, it's not an accident. If a person has left you, it's not an accident. If you tried to make things work and it wouldn't work, it's still not an accident. Accept it as a will of God. If you're still going backwards with the same toxic people who are responsible for bringing the tears to your eyes, then you will remain stuck in the same situation and your life will never move forward. There's no point in being confused and unhappy with those people. What is meant for you will come to you. So believe it. One thing you should keep in mind for the rest of your life is if a person leaves you easily, he or she was never really meant for you. Every moment of adversity leaves two things behind: a blessing and a lesson. Sometimes you have to get rid of a person in order for God to give you a person that you really need in life. All you have to do is trust God. Say these words to yourself every morning. I am whole. I am enough. And I am perfect as I was created. I am whole. I am enough. And I am perfect as I was created. And I came from a source that not only determined the shape of my eye and my body and the color of my skin, but I came from a source that had a great idea about who I should be as well. Life always mirrors back to us the feelings we have inside. The most important relationship you have is the relationship with yourself. Too many people don't like who they are. They focus on their faults and weaknesses. They wish they were different, wish they were taller, had a better personality. Instead of accepting themselves as a masterpiece made in the image of God, they're critical towards themselves and they wonder why they're not happy and why they don't have good relationships. It's because they don't like themselves. If you don't get along with yourself, you're not going to get along with other people. The best thing you can do for your family and those who are around you is be good to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be merciful to yourself. And above all, be loving to yourself. You're good to others. Why aren't you good to yourself? You compliment your coworker, but when was the last time you complimented yourself? That's not being selfish. That's loving yourself. Too many people go through life against themselves, feeling wrong on the inside. I heard someone say, "I discovered the enemy. It was me." Are you your enemy? Are you defeating yourself, limiting your dreams and sabotaging your relationships, all because you don't like yourself? You have enough people and circumstances against you, so don't be against yourself also. When you wake up in the morning, don't lie in bed and think of everything wrong with you. Instead of focusing on what's wrong with you, start focusing on what's right with you. You may have weaknesses, you've made mistakes, we all have, but there's a lot more right with you than there is wrong with you. Dwelling on the negative and beating yourself up for past mistakes doesn't move you forward. The better you feel about yourself, the more you like yourself and the further you'll go. You can't give away what you don't have. If you're hard on yourself, you'll be hard on others. If you don't forgive yourself, you won't forgive others. When you love yourself, then you can love others. When you're kind to yourself, then you can be kind to others. Everything starts with you.